Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Matheny. This video failed to upload to YouTube, so I'm trying to capture it in a way I've never tried before, but here you go. This is my newest video. Big warning, we're looking at a possible major double top. Let me go ahead and get this started for you, and hopefully it'll record perfectly. This is Brad Matheny. Today's the 20th of May. This is a quick update. I want to highlight the fact that Bitcoin is warning of a potential crash. Yeah, I use the word. And that's going to be the topic here that we're talking about today. Change it to a very light red color. And where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Okay, I highlighted this morning and talking about the excess phase peak patterns, rolling through this rally phase here, coming down to the flag low, setting up the flag high, which got above this upper level just barely, rolled back down into the consolidation low, which is the flagging low down here, and then ended up moving into consolidation before basing, bottoming, and rolling upward. Okay, so this was really the consolidation range here, and then we rolled out of that here with an upward trend. This upward trend has rallied up into the rolling flagging pattern here, which did eventually invalidate to the upside. Now we're coming back into this massive double top flagging here, which is very similar to this. Now I want you to understand that, you know, from a concept of top to top, hypothetically, we're looking at a very similar type of time frame. Okay, really maybe 2 or 3 weeks to go. By early June, we could be looking at setting up this type of a topping pattern right back out here and rolling into some breakdown in mid-late June. But what I'm warning about here is this breakdown. This was a 70 roughly percent breakdown, 74%. Let's go to 70 just for the heck of it. And let's now go from roughly the 110 area down here, 70%, puts us at around $33,000 for Bitcoin. Imagine potentially wiping out 70% of the value of Bitcoin, blowing all the way down into this area and looking for support right in this flag consolidation area, pretty much right here. That's the warning that's being sent to all of us regarding this move in Bitcoin. Now, what I highlighted earlier before I hit the wrong button on my screen is that this breakdown back in this area right here, 2022, was the end of a speculative rally phase. Shrink this down a little. End of COVID rally. Fed raising rates and devaluation phase start. So there was a number of things that were going on right over here at the beginning of this rally. So remember, the beginning of this sell-off, we had moved into really a devaluation cycle phase because the Fed had started raising rates, and we had moved into this end of COVID rally phase. Remember, when Biden came in, we had lots of spending, lots of speculation, lots of extra money. Then all of a sudden, the Fed started tightening, and that moved the markets, the general markets, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow Jones, down 70% through this move here, actually a little more. But this was a big devaluation phase. Now, what's coming on over here is we have the end of a second speculative rally phase. We have the end of, call it the Biden rally, okay? Which was basically stimulus. We have the Fed potentially. And why would the Fed need to raise rates now? Okay, well, the Fed would potentially need to raise rates now because as things settle and as the markets move back into potential normalcy, we now have an exceptionally high cost factor. So I'm going to explain that to you here in a minute, okay? And this is why, you know, the downward devaluation cycle phase is potentially coming. And let's call it revaluation, devaluation cycle phase start. I believe this is what's going to happen. Oh, there we go. I believe this is what's going to happen right back over here with the Trump policy. So understand, Trump credit policy will constrict, let's call it typical U.S. spending. In other words, we're not running the same, you know, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars spending out through various government organizations into a potential growth phase. So this is, again, a type of stimulus. Okay, I think that's ending. Now, what we would want to do here is it's, you know, fairly critical to see this low channel get broken. So right now, as we move through this, we have support down here near the 76,000 area. We have resistance up here near this 108, 109 area. I'll leave it at 109. We have resistance right up here. We have support down here. We're in the midst of a consolidated range right over here, which is going to, again, probably attempt to trap Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks. And I believe that we are going to see a potential breakdown. So if I were to give you an idea, I would say that by mid-June, roughly, oh, come here, go away. Let's call it here, June 10th through 25th may present a major top in, let's call it U.S. markets and Bitcoin. In my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, I really do believe that this breakdown mode here is should be first thing on your list. I think this should be first thing on your list in terms of a potential breakdown. The way the breakdown would happen, okay, is that we would move back down into this consolidation level right over here. In my opinion, is we would see this roll down, stall. Well, this is, we go into my July low. Breaking down, stall into this low, stall down into this low into July, recover a little bit, try that again, I got to get some markers out here because remember, I have that July 2nd, June, July. We'll mark it there, and then we'll mark out here October, roughly mid-October. Okay, there's my markers so I can draw. We'll be looking at a topping pattern right over in this area, rolling down into the July low, rolling sideways, and then potentially down into the October low. This range, this consolidated sideways range right here, is where I think we're going to see some moderate support. So I think that Bitcoin will attempt to form some sort of moderate support right in this area. But this aligns very cleanly with my long-term pattern levels, suggesting that this July low, which is what we have right here, and then we have the October low setting down right over here. These, in my opinion, set a very critical move in terms of how Bitcoin is predicting the U.S. market. If we get any type of downward revision, potential conflict, tightening of the global economy, and or, remember, what could cause this could be at any point in time, we could be looking at some sort of global financial crisis, and think Asia. We could be looking at some sort of a big move off of some kind of a crisis setting up as the U.S. spending is curtailed. Remember, the whole purpose of what's happening with Doge and everything else is that we're trying to eliminate fraud and waste and excess spending that doesn't need to be in our budget, because the U.S. has got to watch our own back. Nobody's really watching it for us. So if we cut potentially $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion potentially out of our budget annually, getting rid of waste and fraud or what have you, and learn to cut other areas, that's $1 trillion out of our potential foreign aid, potential NGOs, potential whatever. That's going to be a fairly strong cut. It's about a 15 to 20% cut in U.S. spending, maybe more. In that regard, that could be, you know, hypothetically to the globe, a 30 to 40 or 50% cut in a lot of support and economic endeavors throughout the world. If we spend, hypothetically, $400 billion to support some of the world's projects and other things, you think about it, in other nations, that could be, you know, a decent percentage of economic output and GDP related to how much the U.S. was actually donating and spending throughout the world. So I do expect the next 2 or 3 years to continue to contract. So, you know, where are we when we get down into this mode? I think once we get down into these lows, which could be October or later, we could be looking at, again, a fairly extended breakdown range, maybe something like this, trying to build some support back into this area over an extended period of time, and then maybe starting to rally back out in 2026 or 2027. But this is giving us a very, very large warning sign right now. This double topping pattern, the fact that we've got almost the same amount of time, we only need 1 or 2 more weeks, really by June, early June, we're right in that timeline right here where we could be looking at a major breakdown in the markets. And I'm talking about a substantial, even if we were to get half of this and go to a 30 to 40% breakdown, you know, you're talking a move down to 65,000 in Bitcoin, potentially, and that's just half of the move that we saw back over here. If we get any type of a breakdown event, to be honest with you, if we moved all the way down to where we saw this last event, we'd be talking $27,000 Bitcoin. Give a minute, let that settle in. If we come down the exact amount as last time through this contraction, we would be looking at $27,000 Bitcoin. That is a massive decline, 74, 75%. It is really, really a huge warning right now. Huge warning of a potential crash in the U.S. global, and let's call it crypto markets. Really is a massive potential breakdown event setting up here. So, okay. Let's not do that. Let's not lose what I was doing. There we go. So I'm going to warn you guys again. Stay safe, stay solid, protect your assets. I mean, we could still move a bit higher. I'm warning you, we could still move, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5% higher. But where we're at, we've got about 2 weeks to go, and then we're moving into topping patterns. And then I think we all need to be very, very cautious. Move to cash. Get yourself in a position where you can safely protect your assets and move away from this big warning sign. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know I've warned of a few things. Generally, I'm pretty good at trying to pick these things. But again, this to me is a very big warning sign. And the best advice I have for you is over the next 2 weeks, try to book your positions and really prepare for some type of event. I think between now and call it mid-June, late June, we could be looking at some sort of an event playing out. And to be honest with you, this is the event I'm looking at. I'm looking at Asia and potentially, you know, other areas, but primarily Asia. And what I'm concerned about is China and Japan. So let me just mark this, China and Japan. Both of those countries have extended capital and debt issues, which could become very, very critical over the next 8, 10, 12 months. So again, we're going to see how this plays out. Visual order, bring to front. I wanted to give you a heads up because really, you know, if this plays out, you're going to look at a very strong breakdown, maybe into the 65, consolidating into a breakdown down here into this 40, maybe all the way down into this 27, 30,000 area before basing and trying to roll out. All right, so I'm going to leave you there. You have been warned. Big move in metals taking place. I mean, really the big solid breakout like I talked about. S&P is very flat today. NASDAQ is very flat today. I think smart traders are unwinding out of longs. That's what I'm going to tell you. Smart traders right now, big institutional traders, are unwinding out of their long positions. They're curtailing their risk levels. They're moving back into cash. And I see that you've got about maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I think we're going to be moving into a breakdown mode. Okay, guys, talk to you later. All right, guys, that was the video. I'm going to keep you updated. Remember, if you have a moment, visit ment.com real quick. Learn how my tools and services can help you. I'm going to move this around a little bit for you. The whole idea here is to grow your account efficiently through automated solutions or not automated solutions, to grow your account efficiently and stay ahead of these big market moves. So really, I'm giving you a heads up that it looks like we're moving into some sort of a crisis event, and I want you to be aware that the reality is that Bitcoin right over here is a massive rolling risk. It is a massive rolling risk right now for traders. It is just, this double topping formation right up over here is very, very dangerous. I highlighted everything. I'm not sure how the crisis event's going to play out, but I'm pretty sure we're looking at some sort of an event playing out over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So be aware. All right, guys, that's it. Talk to you later.